Ever imagined how a man could be so heartless that he slept with his friend's wife behind his back and later on plotted and had him killed, in order to cover it up and take his wife from him? The man in our story who was betrayed was so loyal that he even carried his own death warrant in his hand and delivered it to his executors without knowing, all because he trusted his friend and was loyal to his death. So you might come to ask, how did they go from being friends, who fought alongside each other in many battles, to one killing the other? All this we will bring to life in our video today. The man in our story who was betrayed and killed was Uriah the Hittite, a soldier and a warrior, and his friend who killed him was the famous King David. The story unfolds in 2 Samuel 11. In the spring of the year, when kings normally go out to war, David sent Joab and the Israelite army to fight the Ammonites. They destroyed the Ammonite army and laid siege to the city of Rabbah. However, David stayed behind in Jerusalem. Late one afternoon, after his midday rest, David got out of bed and was walking on the roof of the palace. As he looked out over the city, he noticed a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath. He sent someone to find out who she was, and he was told, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite." Upon hearing this, it was expected that David would turn away from his lustful desire for her, knowing whom her husband was. For David and Uriah had a strong relationship from the time when David had nothing and hid from Saul, the previous king who sought to kill him, in the cave of Adullam to his rising and ascending the throne. Uriah was there fighting with him as he rose up to power. This is why Uriah's name was listed amongst David's top 30 soldiers, an elite breed of men who accomplished unimaginable feats, killing giants, taking on whole armies single-handedly. One fought so hard that his sword froze to his hand because of the blood and cold. They were ranked the mighty men who fought alongside with David. But David, unwilling to consider his friend Uriah, who was away fighting his battles, but took his wife. For her beauty was unusual and enchanting. It was none he had seen before. So David sent his servants and they took her. This was right before her monthly menstrual cycle started and he had sex with her. She stayed there until her monthly cycle had ended. Then she returned back to her house. About a month later, she discovered she was pregnant and told King David. David, in a bid to try and cover things up, sent word to Joab, the commander of his army, and requested that Uriah be sent to him from the battlefield. When Uriah returned, they greeted as old friends, discussed how the battle was going, and recalled old memories. Then David encouraged Uriah to go to his house and rest, and also sent gifts along to him to see whether he could get him to sleep with his wife and cover up what he had done. But Uriah, a devoted man, did not return to his house but slept with the other servants in the palace. When David was told that Uriah did not go home, he asked Uriah, "Haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home?" Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Then David said to him, "Stay here one more day, and tomorrow I will send you back." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants, and he did not go home. David, became frustrated, and in a bid to get rid of Uriah, devised a wicked plan. When it was morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah by hand. In it he wrote, "Put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest, then withdraw from him so he will be struck down and die." Unknown to Uriah, he carried his own death warrant, signed and sealed by his own friend, and handed it over to his executors in his unwavering loyalty to his king and nation. So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. Then Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you have finished giving the king this account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, 'Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall? Who killed Abimelech son of Jerubbesheth? Didn't a woman drop an upper millstone on him from the wall so that he died in Thebes? Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say to him, 'Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.'" The messenger set out, and when he arrived, he told David everything Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, "The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead." David told the messenger, "Say this to Joab. Don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it." Say this to encourage Joab. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him greatly, and her heart was broken. After the time of mourning was over, David immediately had her brought to his house and married her, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. Ever since this wicked act, chaos ensued in the family of David, such that his own son Amnon raped his stepsister Tamar. Her brother Absalom killed Amnon and usurped the throne, and sleeping with his father David's wives in public. All this El will explain in our next video, showing the full extent of the consequences of betrayal.